and good Saturday morning. It's day 9 of Advent of Code 2023. So let's go and see what's the challenge for today. Okay, we get this input, then reading throughout the text. This line will be like here. Okay, I see that. So we get each line, which is one of these lines, and on each line we subtract the item from the next one. So this will be subtracted from this and it go here. This will be subtracted by this and go here and so forth. Then we would do the same for this line. We get to all zeros. Okay, so when we get to all zeros, we're done with going from this to this. Then what's the next step? We need to extrapolate. We add a 0 to the line that is the last line. And then we would add this to this, go here, add this to this, go here. Exactly. So it's like this. We get to 18 for the first row. So then for the second one, it's like this. So 1 plus 2 is 3, so 2 goes here, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we would subtract this from each other. Do 2 from 3 is 1, 3 from 4 is 1, 1, 1, 1, and they get to all zeros. We add a 0 here, add this 0 to 1, get 1 here, 1 plus 6, 7 here, 7 plus 21, 28 here. These are all in order, but I believe the input is not like that. So let me see the input. Yeah, it's like just random numbers. Okay, so we need to have two steps. One is that for each line, we get the history of that line, which is something like this. Sorry, like this. And then on that history, I think it's best to reverse it so that this goes up and then add 0 to this and add it to the last items until we get to the last item on this one. So it should be pretty straightforward. Let's grab the sample test here. So we have this from the last problem. Of course, I need to log it. Okay, I'm getting the numbers correctly. For each of the numbers, I need to get the history. So let me define a function here. I don't need this. For each of the lines, we need to have a history that in the beginning is the line itself, and then we would add to that. So how does this work? In the beginning, my history is this, and my current line is also this. Based on the current line, I would get the next line, which is this one, and I would check the next line against zeros. If that's not zeros, it becomes the current line, and the next line will be empty. And then I would do the same process until the line becomes all zeros. Until the current has some length. What I'm doing here is just pushing the difference onto the next one. I plus 1 minus current at index I. Then I need to push to the history, and I need to continue until the next array has all the values 0. So in other words, I can say if next dot sum of the values is not 0, then current will be next, and the next will be an empty array. And if there is a case where all the numbers are 0, we just break out of the while loop. And in the end, after while, we just return the history. So let me see what's the input for line 0 here of input at index 0. So I need to say that current is the line. Okay, now I get a bunch of nans, and I need to go to -1 here. Okay, now this is correct. 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and this is correct. Okay, so I'm getting the history correctly. Now I need to get the next value. So I think it's best to reverse this. So this is the first, this is the second, and this is the third. And then we would add the last item of this to this one and push it to the last of this. So in other words, I can say I have a function, call it get history. It would get a history like this, and first reverse everything, history.reverse. Then there is another for loop that goes from here to history.length -1, because again we don't want to go to the last row. And now the sum is history at index 0, at index I and 0, which is this one, plus this one. So I would use the at function, which is helpful here to get the last item at index I, and then at index -1, which will give me this 0 here. This should be added to history at index I +1, and again -1, which is this one. Now when I get this, I would push it to here. So history dot add I +1, which is I 0, it would get 1 here. So at this one, I would just push the sum that I found. And when this whole for loop is done, I would return what is down here. So we return history at some index and then at some other index. We get it at the last row and last item, so 2 -1s. Okay, now I'm getting the history. Now I need to pass this to this function. So let's say L is this, and then we need to do the log for get next of the L. We get to 18, which is correct. So for first line we get the correct number. So what should I do in the end? I need to add them, or should I multiply them? Add them all together. So let me say that the result is the input that we have. So input, it should be mapped to two functions. First is the get history, and second one is the get next. So map to get history, and then get that value, map it to get next, and let's see. 18, 28, and 68. So we could add them all. From 0, this is reduce 114, correct. Let's get the input, put it here, remove the empty line, this number. Right. Let's go to part 2. So up to here it's the same. Then instead of adding a 0 to the end and filling in the next values of each previous sequence, we should add a 0 to the beginning. So instead of push we have on shift. So we get 0 here. 2 minus 0 is 2, 0 minus 2 is minus 2, 3 minus minus 2 is 5, 10 minus 5 is 5. Okay, then we subtract this from this. Got it. So there is some change. The code is almost the same. I will copy all of it to here. The only thing that it needs to change is just here. So what should I do? The for loop, I believe, is the same. The sum is now a minus, first of all, and then going at I plus 1, the 0, this should be subtracted from I and 0. And this should be on shifted to the I plus 1, right? And at the end we get the last one, but the first one on the last one. Part 2, 1062 should be bigger, but let's see. Right, we get the right answer. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If that's so, please provide a like, comment, or subscribe to my channel. It would really help the channel. Thank you for watching again, and see you in the next video.